Good morning, everybody. I thought that I would sit down and record this video for you guys while I was having my morning cup of coffee and catching up on some other stuff. So, a couple of days prior to me recording this video, I got sent this Reddit post by a member of my community asking for my opinion on what was happening. Now, as you can clearly see from the screen, this Reddit post has since been deleted. It no longer exists. Thankfully, I had actually watched the video before it got deleted, and it's been sitting in my to-do folder for a couple of days, and I went to check it this morning because I was going to do a video on it later, and I saw that it was removed, and I said, well, a little bit less editing, but that's okay. Essentially, what this video was about 2.5 minutes or so of time-lapsed footage. That's 2.5 minutes of time-lapsed footage of a Chucky player just being the worst player imaginable on RPD and then complaining because of the fact that they couldn't catch the survivor. Now, before I fully get into the crux of this video, because the title is not clickbait, the title of Killer Players Are Losing Their Skill is not clickbait. It is not, I'm not trying to rage bait you here. As most of you know, I am a killer main, so I want to start this video off with a very important qualifier. Yes, in the current state of Dead by Daylight, it is more survivor-sided. Survivors have more autopilot perks. They have more palettes to work with on basically every single map, which is insane to me. When people were telling me about the palette density, I did not believe them until I came back to this game on how bad it was. There are multiple occasions throughout the month that I've been back, or the month or so that I've been back, where I have seen just absolutely awful examples of like 7 no joke, 7 pallets in the same like 3 square footage. It is genuinely insane how so many maps have a pallet around every corner, right? Therefore, most maps are survivor sided, and it's a lot easier for survivors nowadays. I know it's a lot easier for survivors because even being away from this game for as long as I have, I still have a relatively high escape rate when I play Survivor, or at the very least, I have a very high end game rate, meaning that we get to the end game with all 4 survivors still alive, and even if I personally die, at least 3 of my teammates get out. And so with that very high win rate in my Survivor games, being how I'm not a very good Survivor player, that tells me that this game is most definitely much easier for survivors than it used to be. I believe Mint Skull at one point also made a video where he has a 100% escape rate whenever he runs Hyper Focus Stakeout, just those 2 perks. And so it's kind of undeniable that objectively right now, as the game stands, it is more survivor than killer sided. But as I spend more time back in the community and I witness more clips on Reddit and Blue Sky, and I listen to some of my community members talk, and I watch a few of them play the game, because sometimes they hang out in the Discord and they live stream and they don't know that I'm watching, but I am watching. A lot of you guys, a lot of you killer players are not as good at this game as you think you are. And so a while ago, way back, I partnered with my homie Bran, aka the Mr. Headache, to bring you guys like 10 mistakes that killer players make. I'll leave that linked in the description down below. And I think that video still holds a pretty significant weight in terms of what killer players are doing wrong. I'm still watching people make a lot of the same old mistakes, you know, throwing games to try to force value out of their perks, not using their perks whatsoever, not learning which gens to ignore, not learning how to patrol properly, not mind gaming, things like that. And that's what I had saw in this Chucky video, and that's why I had saved it. That's why I wanted to make a video of it. Unfortunately, like I said, the moderators of the Reddit deleted it because the guy forgot to censor names. You know, on RPD specifically, where this Chucky player was playing, RPD is infamous for being essentially one gigantic god loop. The entire map is a god loop if you run it correctly. However, a part of running it correctly means being able to react to where the killer is going at any given time and knowing which direction to be in. A big part of the survivor skill loop is being able to react appropriately to the killer, because whether or not killer players want to admit it, you as the killer control where the chase goes. You control what's happening because you are essentially an obstacle within yourself. For example, if you are chasing a survivor around a pallet loop, and to the left of the pallet loop will lead them to shack. If they drop the pallet on your head, they'll be able to make it to shack. But if to the right of the pallet loop leads to a dead zone, if they drop the pallet, guess which direction you need to be on when they drop that pallet? You need to be going to the right, because even if they stun you and they're going to the right, then they're going to end up going into a dead zone, right? Most killer players I've watched don't pay attention to that. They don't pay attention to which side of the loop they need to be chasing, because it's not necessarily about catching the survivor at that loop. It's about catching the survivor. It's about corralling the survivor into the side of the map where they don't have as many resources. Yes, in the current state of Dead by Daylight, where there's 30 pallets at every given area, you need to corral them into the area where you spent the first fucking 3 minutes of the match breaking pallets. You know what I mean? And so I'm not saying that it's not frustrating as a killer player nowadays. I'm not saying that it's not easier as a survivor player nowadays to get value. But what I am saying is that a lot of killer players have kind of just allowed themselves to give up, basically. They've allowed themselves to not attempt to try to get better at Dead by Daylight because they've heard so many content creators talk about how survivor-sided the game is right now. Because they have sat back and listened to so many people talk about the frustrations of killer, they no longer feel like they have to try. And I'm not saying that you have to try. I guess maybe that's the wrong wording. What I am saying is you don't get to play like shit and then turn around and upload a 2.5 minute time-lapsed video to Reddit of you completely and utterly overcommitting to a survivor who is very obviously dog walking you, and then go, I can't do this anymore. I just don't understand. And then when people in the comments try to help this person, they got defensive and angry and mad. And because the thing is that here's the thing, right? You don't get to post you playing bad to a forum and then get mad when people point out that you played bad. And that's what this Chucky player did. Basically, it's so hard to describe without showing you, but basically what the Chucky player did was they never mind gamed, really. They just held W. And when they did try to mind game, they would mind game at the wrong times. And I'm just going to tell you straight up, just straight through to the facts, as a Chucky player, RPD is one of your greatest strengths. RPD is so good for you because it's an indoor map and you're Chucky. You are hard to see. You get the drop on people. But committing to, it looked like it was at about, I'd say 2.5 times speed. So committing to an almost 4.5 minute chase is genuinely insane to me. I could never imagine in all my years of playing this game committing to a 4.5 minute chase and then acting like the design of the game is the problem, right? Maybe when I first started out in like my first 10 hours playing the game, but even back then I knew that sometimes you had to just drop chase and move on. And that's the problem, is that a lot of killer players don't recognize what to do in the micro, but they also don't recognize what to do in the macro. Whenever I used to do my own teaching series, Roast My DBD, which some people have asked me to bring back, but I will bring it back, guys. Just give me a little bit more time to get more used to the way this game works again, and make sure that not a lot has changed since the last time I played. I'm still getting my own skill level back, so I don't feel comfortable teaching others right now until I'm able to do what I used to be able to do. So the point is that Whenever I would watch players, whenever I'd watch killer players, they would submit to me so many times. The problem is you guys get tunnel visioned. And I don't mean, oh, you're tunneling the survivor. I mean, you're tunnel visioned on one survivor who has dropped, 2 pallets on your head. And there becomes this overinflated sense of ego where this one survivor just has to die, no matter how much they're taking at you on a chase, no matter how long they've got your attention, they just have to die. And then you make mistakes because you're so angry at this one particular survivor for whatever reason. And I just don't understand why you guys are like this. So at the end of the day, yes, the truth is that killer players are becoming less skillful. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of you have just given up. And take the advice from somebody who's been gone from this game for a year. Stop playing the fucking game. Please, for the love of everything, go play something else. Do something else. Go outside. I know this sounds generic as hell, but go outside. Touch some grass. Enjoy a meal. Walk in the park. Read a book. Watch a TV show. Do literally anything else but boot up this game. Because you killer players who log onto this game despite hating it, and play it despite hating it, and record all this stuff despite hating it, and complain, you are just as bad as the survivor player who gets hit once and insta DCs. You are just as bad as the survivor player who runs up to you in the middle of a match and begs you to kill them because they no longer want to play because they don't approve of the way their teammates are playing. You are just as bad as them when you fucking do this shit. When you overcommit to a chase, you play like shit, and then you go up on the forums and you just start ranting and raving. Because I'm going to be honest with you, this shit affects me. When people see you playing like this, when they see you playing badly and then complaining, and they're able to easily point out what you're doing wrong, that in the end leads to the developers and other people not believing that there is a genuine problem with autopilot survivor perks and autopilot survivor-sided maps. Because they just watched you autopilot your way into the autopilot. You have to be smarter than the autopilot in order to outplay it. And when you're not, and you act like you are, it's a fucking problem. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. I greatly appreciate it. As always, a great big special thank you to my channel members listed on screen now. You want to find out how to become a channel member today, get awesome perks like seeing videos early, merch discount codes, and more, then please click that join button down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.